Is it a form of training as well? Because I even remember as a child, sometimes you'll hold your breath and practice how long you can hold it.
All kids do it, you know.
Do you get better with training? It's a skill like anything
Yeah,
else.
but the thing is that there are so many misconceptions, right? Because people don't understand the physiology. In school, you're not taught about, like, we can get back to breathing, I'm sure, but you're not even taught how to breathe. The most important thing in life, unquestionably, not because I'm pushing breathing. I am. I own breathology. It's my big thing. It's my life mission. But it's just a fact. So we don't need to discuss any why or how or this or that. Kids and also people in hospitals, nursing homes, retirement homes, they're not taught how to breathe properly, right? And we have all this stress in the world. We have all these things going on. So we learn to play basketball, baseball, something else in Australia, rugby, right? And we learn all these things. We learn a little bit of biology, genes, lungs, blah, blah, blah. Oxygen, maybe we hear this hemoglobin word, but we don't learn how to breathe. With the nose, slight pause. Exhaling slowly, what does it do? It triggers the vagus nerve. You lower your heart rate, blood pressure goes down. All these things that we should learn about as kids. Just as hitting a football or how to hit with a tennis racket, but we're not taught about these things. Also not in hospitals or older people or elderly that need to relax and get through pain, because when you get older, you get different diseases and complications in life. So anyways, back to
You're on this trip where you really
back to this freediving, and I was like, okay, it's pretty deep. I'm in Fiji in the middle of nowhere. Actually, it was called Kandavu. It's an island. Like, you have to take another plane to get there from Fiji. Beautiful water. I've never seen anything like it, right? And sadly, the world is changing now. We need to protect the oceans. We need to do much more. I'm a marine biologist, by the way, as one of my biological degrees or certificates. But it was blue, it was crystalline, it was azuric, deep blue, purple, green, all colors of the rainbow, right? It was amazing in Kandavu, in Fiji. But I was still a little bit, even though people think I'm crazy or a bit wild, I was like, a bit apprehensive. We can go, because the guy who owned the resort was a scuba diver, and he said, you can't dive that deep. He was like, you can't. It's not, you can't, you just can't go and do it. I was like, I can. So we went out in kayaks, and I was like, okay, but let me put that rope, like these wires here, right? All these wires. Let me put a rope around my leg, because I was like, if I'm lost there in the middle of nowhere, literally in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, there's no way he's going to recover me. He's not going to find me or go fast enough. And I was down alone, right? So he was not there in his scuba set. So it was a good thing I tied this, which doesn't make it easier. Now you dive in freediving along a line. You have a lanyard on, like a little rope to the main line.
And you're guided by the rope on the way down, right?
There was no rope. No, I just went into the ocean, but I put a rope that was floating in the surface that was tied to the canoe. That's my point. So I didn't know about freediving or safety, but I still had an intuitive feeling that I need to be connected to something.
Oh, wow.
In case the shit hits the fan, in case I black out or the current takes me away. I don't know. You never know what's in the ocean. So I'm probably not as crazy as people think, or wild.
Yeah, you tied yourself.
No, I mean, seriously. So there was a connection. If I had blacked out...
Do people freedive without tying themselves?
That's what they do. And they either go in the pool and hold their breath alone, and then they end up passing out, and that's not dangerous. Blackout is not dangerous in itself. It's like getting knocked out in a boxing match. You don't die, but somebody needs to say, hey, come back, breathe. But if you start breathing underwater, you breathe water, and then you drown. So that's when you die. But it's not the blackout in itself that's dangerous. So... But back to what I was saying before, people don't have this education.
So people,
but also so people think they need to breathe. You talked about kids, right? So everybody's doing this fun competition, but people don't start breathing because they're running out of oxygen. You probably also think that. You're like looking confused now, right? You start breathing because the CO2 level is rising. You have chemoreceptors. It's a very fancy word, but you have little computers in your brain and in your carotid arteries, or in the throat, in the main blood vessels here that pump blood from your lungs and heart with oxygen to your brain, to your machine, right? So you can do computations and think. And those sensors are triggered by CO2, carbon dioxide. It's a waste product that you produce when you're making energy in your cells, and every single cell needs this energy process to occur. It's happening in something called the mitochondria, but a little factory inside of your cell that needs oxygen. That's why we have these hemoglobin, the red blood cells, that bind the oxygen, and it goes everywhere around your body with the blood system. So the blood is like fuel. The blood is just a delivery system of oxygen. And every single cell you have trillions of cells. Every single cell, whether it's in your brain, your leg, your big toe, your liver, your whatever, needs oxygen because we are aerobic human beings. We need air. Aerobic means functioning with air. Anaerobic is like bacteria and stuff. They can use sulfide or something else, other materials, to stay alive, but we can't. So the reason you start breathing is because physiologically, something in your body is telling you you need to start breathing. It's the survival mechanism. But with freediving, with your human brain and intelligence, you know your physiology or neurophysiology. So you're like, no. If I relax and I keep having the urge to breathe, but I control the contraction, you call them in freediving contractions.
When the chest is involuntarily
The
going
diaphragm,
up and down.
the breathing muscle, this big plate that is sucking in air with a vacuum when you're breathing in and expelling the air, the old air, and the CO2 especially when you're breathing out. So the body tells you, breathe that air out, you stupid fool. But you don't need to breathe it out. And that's where freediving starts. That's where the psychology comes in, Then you need to relax. Because if you're stressing yourself, you start breathing. So kids usually start breathing because they freak out and they're like, I need to breathe, right? And which is healthy, they're surviving. But when you get more stubborn, 18, 20, 25 years old, especially boys, they're like really stubborn and you can hold on into a blackout. That's why it's dangerous.
And this was in 1997 when you first started freediving.
Yes.
It was about 6 years later when you broke your first 2 freediving records.
That's correct, yeah. I was all in on that when I first started competitive freediving in 1999, 2000. That's right.
And this was within the same year in 2003. So
Yes.
one was 166 meters, something that's called dynamic apnea, which I'll ask you to explain in a second. I believe that's horizontal.
It's very simple. Dynamic just means you're moving. So that's simple. Static is just still.
Okay, and then the other one was 61 meter constant weight
Yeah,
dive.
but they're all stupid names. Constant weight means you can't throw your belt away. It's just a stupid old-fashioned name translated in a wrong way from French because everything started with French and freediving. So it's totally confusing. So the first world record I ever made was just long-distance swimming underwater, as many laps as you can in a normal swimming pool.
With a single breath.
Everything is on a single breath, where you go long distance, hold your breath, go deep, swim under ice, all the crazy stuff I do. It's on a single breath. That's what defines freediving.